And you can see me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, here we are in the valley.
So we should be on.
Oh, yeah? Are we live?
Yes. Let me double check. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We are live.
Thumbs up.
So the gods from Mount Zuckerberg are
Mount
smiling
Zuckerberg.
are smiling at us. Yeah, because you know, man, it's always like a gamble of flipping a coin if
Yeah.
it's gonna connect or not.
Uh-huh.
But here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with one of my favorite heroes from my pantheon of heroes ever, Mr. Billy Childs.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And it's a pleasure to be here. And you're another hero,
Oh man,
Otmaro Ruiz. You know.
man. Well, gee, what can I say? The way that it happened for me to find you, I came to
How'd that happen?
I came to LA looking for a place to grow, and the first thing that I got when I when I arrived, someone laid one of your CDs in front of me, and I went like, "Oh my, holy God!"
It was one of those one of those Wyndham Hill CDs, probably.
Well, yeah, one of the your first. I mean, and it was such a that was exactly the reason why I moved to LA.
Oh, well,
Because
wow.
I mean, I wanted to be in a place where this would happen. Like, I mean, this is all this other stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that is going to inspire you, and it's gonna. And then shortly after that, someone played me because I heard the news, the CD, and it was great. And then someone played me one of your operas.
Oh, well, I never wrote an opera, but probably
Like a vocal,
yeah.
a vocal, heavy duty
Yeah,
vocal work.
probably The Voices of Angels. I wrote it for the LA Master Chorale.
And that was it. I went like, this is something special. This is something that's going to keep me inspired for many years to come.
Oh, well, thank you.
And it's
Appreciate
been 31 years.
that. Wow, 31 years.
31 years since that. And, you know, I've been always following you and admiring you. Plus, you know, I can say that we can whenever we get together, we can talk of other stuff even beyond music. So that for me is already
Well, yeah.
special, you know.
No, it's great. And I think you actually, in the Grammy camp, you mentored my son. You mentored one of my sons, Aaron. Or
Yeah,
maybe it
of
was
course.
at USC. I can't
No,
remember.
at the Grammys,
Yeah, yeah.
and then at USC.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was raving about you too,
Well, man, it's
as he should.
well, it runs in the family. Your son is pretty stellar, you know,
Cool.
and it's amazing. You know, I'm sure you know, like people like Ravi Coltrane,
Of
like
course.
that they come from this, like, you know, they are under I mean, you would say it's like under the shadow of this bigger than life thing, and then yet they find yet another way of doing things on with their own signature. You know?
I remember I played on Nedra Wheeler, a local LA bass player here. She had a senior recital at Cal Arts, and Ravi was playing on it. And he was just getting used to the sax at that point, you know, wasn't quite there yet. And then about 2-3 years later, I was playing at Kimball's in San Francisco, and he happened to be in town with Elvin Jones. And he came and sat in, and man, he just blew the roof off the place. It was like night and day. It was like he had advanced like 10 years in those 2 years. And of course now he's like, you know, one of the giants of the instrument.
On his own right, you know.
And just an incredibly nice guy, one of my favorite people.
Well, believe me, those were, I mean, freshly from the airport, those were that was my welcome party. Like your CD, and then having Ravi, Ralph Alisi, Pete Epstein. Those were the guys that were in my school. Like, you know,
was Larry, was he teaching there?
No, Larry was not teaching yet at CalArts. But,
no, he wouldn't have been.
No, it was 31 years ago. But
Larry ain't that old.
Yeah.
He's as old as I am, but he ain't that old.
As a matter of fact, when I had Larry in our episode together, I remind him of the day we met. He was over there at CalArts, and I was playing with the students' ensemble, and he was like the kid from outside of school that everybody, oh man, you have to check out this guy. He's like, oh, but he's not from. Yeah, but I mean, you're gonna see his man. When the guy sat down,
I know.
It was ridiculous.
I had the same experience. I first met him on a Freddie Hubbard gig. Same, and you had Bob Shepard on here too.
Yeah.
And I first played with both of them on a Freddie Hubbard gig on the same tune at different times. It was one of a kind. It had this vamp. You know, it had that going on, and I was like, oh man, I got to share duties with the guitar. And then he came up and just floored everybody, you know. It was just like.
Plus, one of the things that I'm sure you can agree with me on this is that Larry pretty much behaves like the anti-guitarist because he's a guy that you will never feel him in front of you. He's not going to be doing the basketball tackling game,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, he's there and then supportive, and then.
Well, he's like that as a person too.
Yeah.
It's like him and Mulgrew Miller are like two people who I've never heard anybody say anything bad about.
Yeah, it's incredible. But, you know, well, you know, as I said, I feel privileged that, you know, I've known you for all these years, and I am afraid I cannot pay you a single cent for everything that I have stolen from you.
I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
If I had to pay you a dime for everything, you know, because these are things that, and partly what I do with this series is that I don't know if you know some of the questions that we're gonna get into later. One of the main things that I want to do through this is for musicians to be able to understand that, I mean, we are a result of the stuff that we listen to. I mean, the term genius is applied so liberally nowadays, you know, and groundbreaking, and I don't know what other terms, you know, that you see on Facebook of people self-promoting themselves. But I mean, even for me, a genius is someone that can that is not afraid of recognizing where the source is, but he manages still to make it his own. That's what.
Yeah. We all try to do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and there's been so much groundbreaking music. I mean, every minute is groundbreaking. I mean, no wonder we're on unsteady ground. It's like the ground has been broken. There's, I just think that, when you were talking earlier about like, you have to pay me to all this stuff, but everybody, like you said, everybody borrows from everybody.
Yes.
Everybody, you're the sum total of everything you've been influenced by, and I just believe that it's good to keep focused on. I think you have to be detached from yourself also to keep growing. You have to keep. You have to have a healthy confidence in your own voice, but you also have to have a healthy amount of doubt about what you're doing, and always be thinking about what can be better.
And that can also be put in terms of humility too.
Yeah.
Because knowing that the possibilities are so endless that, I mean, there's no room to have any big ego when we do what we try to do,
Yeah, although I do think an ego, and I've gotten into arguments about this, but I think an ego, in being an artist, an ego used the right way is necessary to being an artist. You can't be egoless. But you have to have it in check, and it has to be balanced.
Of course.
By self-examination and humility.
Because ultimately your work is gonna be it has to be a result of who you are. Your ego is involved,
Yeah.
So of course it's gonna be, but I mean, when I use the word is about attitude. It's about the unhealthy attitude about I know it all. I have arrived and I already know everything that I need to know. But talking about that, one of the questions that I ask everybody that I bring, to this series, is this totally unexpected situation that we are all living right now, and many of my friends have reacted to this in many different ways, and there's no right or wrong. I've never it's hard to pass judgment on someone for feeling completely. I mean, I know people that are completely defeated.
Yeah.
That they don't see a purpose in doing anything until they have normalcy again.
Right. Yeah.
And some other people started. They jumped on this first day in a very proactive way into doing stuff or learning. I mean, it doesn't have to be music related. Learning something new, using the time, keeping your brain occupied. That's another way. So I wanted to ask you how was your experience? What was your reaction with this pandemic, the lockdown, and how have you used your time? Have you had a drastic? Some people didn't even notice a change in the routine, in the professional routine. So how was it?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of different answers. My reaction has been like everybody else's. There's been a certain amount of depression, a certain amount of fear of what are we going to do, concern about what are we going to do next. It's forced me to have existential questions about music. When the virus was really rampant, well, it still is, but I mean, when it was rampant and we had no clue, like around March and April, then it started raising existential questions like, is music really necessary in the face of things that are, I mean, people were given a stark choice between going out and hearing music and dying, So the choice was obvious. I want to live, and music has to take a back seat. So then it forces you to think, well, is music necessary? but I believe it is, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I know it is. But fortunately also, I had a project. I was writing a violin concerto for the great Rachel Barton Pine, which was supposed to be premiered in last July, but obviously that got canceled and pushed to next July. But it gave me something to keep my mind occupied and keep me under the impression that I was working towards something, you know. And also, I had just come out with my new record on Mack Avenue, Acceptance, which I had just finished recording it, and during March and April, or in April, we were talking. You know, Mack, to their credit, kept moving forward as if we were, as if nothing has changed, and we are going to, you know, have meetings about the marketing of it and so forth and so on, which actually made me feel better, because it made me feel like there was some purpose, you know, there was something that I thought was important that had purpose, and other people around me were working towards. So that helped me. But then a lot of, you know, people were moving from Los Angeles, like Nick Mancini moved. Alex Bonham moved. That one really hurt because I am using Alex when we start working again. I will be, but I was using Alex quite a bit. But you know, he was living, you know, off of gigs, and his wife had just gotten out of school, and they needed to resettle, so they had to get out of here, you know, which was a drag. But so, you know, people were kind of making an exodus, and so that adds to a little depression. It's like, because
it magnifies a little bit the image.
But also, we had no leadership at the upper echelons of government, you know, we didn't have a clear, you know, and as we later found out, even he who shall remain nameless kind of knew about
let's say that we all wish we had that Morgan Freeman character from Deep Impact.
Exactly, you know, and they were dealing with an asteroid.
Exactly.
We're dealing with kind of we're dealing with kind of an asteroid, an inner space asteroid, you know, like that's like attacking, you know, all of ourselves, you know. So so all of this, you know, because of the confusion of what we were supposed to do, and we didn't have a uniform solution for what to do, then that added to the depression. But I think music and reading and exercising and taking care of your health really helps.
That's great, man. I mean, it seems like, you know, that you kept, I mean, the sense of fear. I mean, I don't know anybody that would not feel
of course,
that, you know. But knowing that you have to grab whatever project that will give purpose to continue, you know.
Also, I just want to say, I refuse to look at this paradigm as normal. In fact, do not ever say to me the new normal. I hate that phrase, because you might as well say the new resignation. You know, we're resigned to taking and accepting an unacceptable situation as normal. You know, and I prefer to look at the future, like, as we get past it, you know. What do we do then, and how do we, you know, kind of bring back the pieces together of society? Because man, I really believe that humans, since the beginning of human organized thought, is meant to congregate. We congregate. That's a need. You know, everything that we do that is productive is because of ideas bouncing off
the communal phenomenon, the experience.
We worship in a communal environment. we make scientific progress in a community.
Yeah.
You know, a group of scientists experiment. So we make music. You know, we do art, and we do business. You know, as we can't not come together. So I believe that that will, you know, we'll be doing that again because we have to.
That's great, man. But yeah, I totally, I'm totally with you. And in the meantime, I mean, my father used to tell me, you got to be, it's better to be ready and not go than go and not be ready.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So well, I think we should play something.
Okay.
I'm going to put here on this, just for whoever is wondering, man, Otmaro expanded his studio. This is not my studio, and I have to thank my very good friend and very admired friend Lou Forestieri, amazing keyboardist, pianist, composer, and arranger, who kindly allowed me to use his space at the very last minute. And so let's play something, and then
Okay.
we'll get into other stuff. Let's see.
What you want to play?
What was it? Yeah.
it kind of went out on. Oh, now here it is. It's a bit. Is it tied to my microphone?
No. I mean, you probably will, because we did the sound check with the talk back.
Oh.
So probably when I take the microphone out, you feel the piano going down.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put it back where it was.
Yeah, and as a consequence, my left-hand walking sucked.
Well, didn't feel like that.
Oh man.
But man, well, that's it's good to. I don't know you, but I mean, I can when I'm in my living room practicing, I feel like a Batman, full of resources.
When you're practicing.
Yeah, when I'm
like
practicing, I feel like Batman, full of resources, and I have everything. But this kind of thing, I mean, nothing like playing with someone else.
Oh yeah, Well, I mean, when you're practicing by yourself, you always have the option of
the minus one thing.
Like wait. Oh wait. You could do this like.
Fish for it.
You can do all of that kind of stuff, but in the moment,
Yeah, but
it just keeps.
the first thing that is for me is crucial when you play with somebody. It doesn't matter how much you have practiced and you have developed. Is that the time, finding the common time is enough to get everything, that whatever you feel like you have done, it goes out the window.
It goes out the window. I always think it's really important to practice, when you practice, to pretend that a rhythm section is behind you.
Yeah.
And you can't stop the time. You just have to keep going. And it's the same with sight reading, which is hard for me, is like just to keep going. So you have to like start at the slow enough tempo so that you can take the information in, It's really hard for me. Sight reading is like my Achilles heel,
Well, I mean, I don't know what to say about that, because we are, maybe I at this point, 31 years later, I think I have earned my chance to speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I arrived in Los Angeles, for instance, I was coming. My training had been in Venezuela, playing. Besides the classical music, I was a guitar player, classical guitar player.
Know that,
oh, yeah, that was my instrument.
Yeah.
That was my 9 years of conservatory, and I had my reading on the piano was like the legit stuff, but that was part in the past, my training, whatever. And then I started doing jingle work, music for commercials, and the level of writing for jingles. Maybe I was lucky that I was always collaborating with these 2 or 3 producers that were like really detailed.
Yeah.
And then a regular day of reading was like 2 staves and full spread, chord spreads, and I mean, so when I arrived in LA, I thought, well, this is it. I mean, this is the with the exception of music for movies, I've never had to read.
Yeah, I've never to really read. I know. Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, I've spent so much time writing. I mean, I read when I have to, and I do okay, But there are some people who just read like, like
specialists. There are specialists.
Like you're reading a book, like Brian Petzone.
Brian Petzone. He was my teacher at college.
Really? Or Randy Kerber, These guys read. Helen Sung, pianist, can read anything,
Or Mike Lang, he's.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I want to have all those guys in this series at some point, because those are like local heroes, but that their body of work goes, it's universal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
out there in the
Yeah,
movies, it's
yeah.
there in the recordings.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but now that I get to, it's the first time that we play together.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because we played on the same gigs,
Yeah, we always play the same
like
gigs.
Diane Reeves and Dori Kaimi we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
But wow, this is the first time.
It's the first time that I get to.
Wow.
So, of course, I play with you with your albums, but
Oh, man.
but now that I have it, I mean, it's like I'm trying to figure out what would I ask you. I mean, you have so much stuff going on for yourself, because I respect you also as a equally as a composer, and I use that word. I mean, I have this friend in Italy. We have this inside joke. It's like, you're a professional composer, because composer nowadays can be anybody that comes up.
Well, it's
with
funny.
yeah.
People come and say, "Yeah, there's a new song I wrote."
Yeah.
Like I'm writing. I need to get Ableton for writing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, or like people that come up with a set of lyrics and then adds a little bit of a melody and then I just compose it. Well, that's perhaps like an eighth of the whole thing, But having you and because I know you're playing, and I've been exposed to one of the things that jumps to my attention is how you already have your own voice as a composer, and I usually joke around when I hear a chord. I say, "That's a Billy Childs chord." That's Billy Childs chord, and when I see you playing, I mean, how many times can you call somebody just hearing a couple of notes in their playing? You say, "That's Billy," because you have achieved that. You have a voice. You have a stylistic a menu of things that is your menu, and that's not easy to do. So I guess if I were to ask you anything, is how do those two things coexist in terms of informing each other? I mean, obviously, when we are improvising, we're supposed to be composing in the spot. But when you are really composing, you have the luxury of time, of really thinking something. And then how is that process of translating that thing that you curate through time, the process of making it available in your playing as a second nature thing? How does that happen, and how long it takes?
Well, you said I have my own voice. That's because I only know one or two things. And so every time you hear it, oh, that's Billy Childs.
No. Well, remember what they say about the effortless mastery thing. Mastery can come with very simple things, but just.
Well, I mean, I have things that I like. Lately I've been. Well, I mean, they both inform each other. I mean, when you're improvising, it's a form of composition. It's a spontaneous form, and when you're composing, like you said, you think it out. But I'm always starting with improvising, even if it's funny. Like when I was writing the violin concerto, I would have some sort of melody, like something like that. And then, if I ran out of ideas, I'd just start going. Just start playing jazz, just to keep my fingers moving, to keep something going on, So lately I've been into bitonality, like two chords, or chords that can sound many different ways at the same time. Like you take to get a little technical, you have like an E, minor major chord, you know. So you have an E minor, but then you include the major seventh.
Yeah.
But then I like to put the major third of E on the bottom.
Yeah.
So you have. So it could sound like E minor major. It could sound like G sharp minor major.
Yeah.
I like those kind of things, you know.
Well, that's something that I guess to create an image and the people that don't know about music, that's like bringing black and white TV and making it 3D and in color.
Color. Yeah, or you'll take like this kind of chord, like a minor triad that's in the second inversion, against a major triad, a minor third down in the first inversion.
Yeah.
And it has a real diminished sound, a real spooky sound. What I do a lot, you know, music for me is, and what I tell a lot of students is that it's a matter of assigning musical, it's a matter of assigning musical devices, musical things, musical language into and associating it with things in real life. So for instance, a Lydian scale, for instance, to me, is not a major scale with a sharp 4, really. I mean, this is a major scale. This is the Lydian with a sharp 4. Right? But it doesn't, that's not it. To me, it sounds like water, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, this sounds like this.
Yeah.
That's what Lydian means to me, you know, just kind of like in a general sense.
That was if you know, we could talk about that intention of the first intention of program music.
Yeah.
The term, you know, when the composer would try to evoke an image.
Yeah.
Yeah, through texture, through musical texture.
Yeah, and I'm very influenced by film music, whose job it is to do that. You know, the job of especially when, to me, the zenith of film composing happened in the 70s, you know, when you had these composers like Jerry Goldsmith, and John Williams, you know, writing Jaws, and Jerry Goldsmith writing The Omen, and Elmer Bernstein, you know, the 60s and 70s, you know, with To Kill a Mockingbird, that is an incredible score by Elmer Bernstein, and The Magnificent Seven, and Bernard Herrmann with
Bernard
Psycho.
Herrmann, yeah, of course.
You know, you had this music that is, you know, every bit as potent as the best of European classical music, but specifically designed to evoke an emotion.
Emotions, yeah.
And the way they did that, I think, is like what I said. Like, okay, for instance, like language. They always say music is a language, right? So you have words. Like English is your second language, right? You started speaking Spanish. So when you learned English, you had to figure out which words were associated with which thought, right? And it's a vocabulary. The word by itself means nothing, but what it represents, like Piano doesn't exist. Piano exists, you know, but the word is a symbol for the piano. So in the same sense, you know, this to me is a symbol of water, of flowing things. This is a symbol of pretty. You know, this is a symbol of action. You know, so everything, music has a symbol. If you can associate the symbol in music with the actual real thing in life, then you can write music that has kind of a within the code, within the accepted code. You know, I would add, because
one thing that I remember I took this series of these semesters on ethnomusicology
Right.
and of Eastern
Yeah.
Asian music, and that's yet another code. So
Yeah.
so what for us is may sound like an otherwise like, wow, what a beautiful melody.
Mm-hmm.
In their opera, that might be like the most dramatic and poignant moment,
Yeah.
So it's a matter of agreeing on the code. That's where I sometimes when people say about the language, music being a universal language, I add, okay, if everybody agrees on the code,
Right.
on those
Well,
codes.
that's a very good
Yeah.
point. In fact, there is a huge argument right now about theory, which is occurring where theory is, it started because looking at there's a famous theoretician, a European theoretician named Heinrich Schenker,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
and he was a racist.
Yeah.
And he held as the supreme level metric of beauty, like European music, like
European music,
Beethoven
yeah.
from Austria and stuff like that. So the argument is like, well, the theory itself is racist because it's assuming that this is the highest form of thought.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I think that theory cannot be racist. Theory
Yeah.
is math. It's just the study of why things sound like they sound.
Yeah, and to me, I use the word codes because that theory, you can apply that same theory to make sense of another code.
Yeah, yeah.
And that code will have validity.
Yeah.
And equally as the
Yeah, I mean, in Indian classical music, I'm sure there are codes and rules.
Yeah. But you can put them in words using the regular theory.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing prevents you from applying. By the way, that's how I learned jazz. I mean, because my only training has been classical conservatory, so I never had jazz harmony.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I only had 4-part harmony, traditional harmony, and the regular, like, how do you call it, the bass with the numbers, figured bass and all that.
Yeah.
So when I started trying to make sense out of what is that chord, I had to start thinking, well, I'm gonna call it this, using my own code, the code that I knew.
Well, that's what I mean. A lot of my music is my own code. It's just from me messing around with the piano.
Yeah.
It's like I found things that worked for me, and I developed it into a system that I use to describe things in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also one of the things that I hear when you in your pieces and in your playing as well is we have our resources. We have resources that we make our own. But there is a way. Let me see if I can verbalize this, because sometimes language doesn't really. But there's a way to make something like hard work sound very casual.
Yeah, like Bill Evans.
You know what? You know what I mean. Which is, to me, that is pretty remarkable, which is the total opposite to people that make something really casual sound like a big piece
like
of work.
A major operation.
Yeah,
I know. Well, a lot of that is, what I try to do. I mean, speaking of Beethoven, I mean, when you listen to Beethoven's music, I mean, he revolutionized form in European music, and like his transitions and all of that stuff, really, it worked. He was a painstaking worker at making things just sound seamless, going from point A to point B, and I think even though things sound easy, you take a pianist like Bill Evans, like I said, and you hear everything and it just sounds so beautiful, and so effortless, but the guy worked like practiced nonstop.
Yes, yes.
You know.
Yeah, but like when I hear you something like us, something like any sequence, like a math, I know you can do stuff spontaneously, and your hands will go to the right place. And you know that, and I know that. But also, I know that you can devise an architecture, like something like a sequence, like let's say a sequence that keeps going.
Right.
I mean, to the untrained ear, what was that? It's like but there's an architecture. Yeah. There's an architecture to that, and there's nothing casual about it.
Right.
So when you are improvising, and then you all of a sudden you drop something along those lines, it's like, wow! It's like purposeful tension, but knowing exactly your way back to where you want to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get. A lot of times my hands don't go to where they need to go. They kind of, and that's kind of cool. That's okay. Sometimes my ideas, because not only are you figuring out what your ideas are on the spot, but you have to finger it too on the spot. You have to find the proper fingering, which is
something that makes sense.
And sometimes I run out of fingers, and so sometimes that forces me to go to a different place, which kind of works.
But that's good. Going off script is good too.
Yeah. There is no script.
Script. I know you will agree. Nothing is worse than having a script and not being able to say it.
Right. Yeah, I know.
When you had like that cute girl in the school, and you kept like imagining their first exchange. It's like I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna say that, and then it never happened the way you imagined it.
You're talking about my life. No, I mean in high school.
That makes two of us.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that as we strive for making music that sounds like it comes from the air.
Right.
One of the things that I want to stress is the fact that we live in that membrane, that very permeable membrane between knowledge and inspiration. Mm-hmm. And it's that the two have to affect each other, and you're not always completely inspired, and sometimes your brain is not up to the task of being thinking all the time. So there's this dance that happens between those two things.
Yeah.
And it's not just being inspired. It's like, I'm sure you have heard people say, "Oh man, I just play whatever." And it's like, well, you are not going to always be inspired. So knowledge is always the good backup plan.
The fallback. Yeah. I mean, you can. I mean, inspiration sometimes has to be pulled out. Sometimes has to be. It doesn't come willingly.
Yeah.
But you have to keep fighting until you just grab it.
Yeah, it's there, because inspiration is the one thing that is right there in the air.
Yeah.
When people say, "Oh, you got it," that's where inspiration is. Like, where is it? I don't see it. It just arrives.
Yeah.
But a person like you, I mean, the process of like when you are playing with a band and you are in a situation in which you are already on it.
Yeah.
And then you don't have an idea. Your inspiration fails. I mean, that's when a person like you can go like what pilots do all the time. You could fly by instruments.
On autopilot.
On autopilot, or you can just read the instruments and know. Or you could know. Okay, I'm gonna you hear something that the bass plays and you know exactly what it was, and it's going to be a springboard for the next idea.
Yeah.
But as opposed to someone that is just, waiting for that ephemeral moment of of the inspiration.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we're all waiting for that ephemeral moment anyway. Whether we have extensive jazz knowledge or not, we are all waiting.
That would be the ideal.
Touched by something, the undescribable.
Yeah.
For some people it's God, for other people it's creativity. Whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely. You want to play something else?
Sure.
Let's play something.
Okay, and before you guys play, people are asking, I agree, we have to bring Billy's piano a little bit higher in the mix.
Okay.
Tiny bit.
All right.
Maybe lower the keyboard.
Thank you, baby. That was
Blue and Green.
Blue and Green.
Miles Davis and Bill Evans.
Yes, sir. One of those progressions that keeps has the. I always have this idea of it keeps looping and overlapping for some reason,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the cadence
Cyclical.
That's it, cycle effect. And before that we would play, was it Have You Met Mrs. Jones?
Have You Met Mrs. Jones?
Yeah, that was the first one. And let me do, I'm nothing without my glasses, man. I'm nothing without my glasses, but here, I want to make sure that that I can make up for Billy's time.
Oh.
So I just put there, the donations. Hey,
Oh,
this is this
it's
is
like a digital virtual passing the hat.
yeah, of course. Because I'm sure whoever is not a musician is really enjoying the music, and whoever is a musician is enjoying the music and getting some interesting data directly from the source. And so there's the donations information, and again I would like to thank again Lou Forestieri for allowing us to use his studio today.
Thank you.
So gracious. And
This is a beautiful piano, by the way.
yeah, man, and it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
So listen, I think we arrived to a point in which I usually do this. Do you want to do this with the I left my, we're going to do it truly random.
Okay. I don't know what we're doing, but we'll do it truly random.
Actually, you know what? Maybe let's see if I catch her eye. Because I have these questions, right, that I do randomly. I forgot my deck of cards in the thing. I'm gonna put you in the spot, man.
Oh,
I'm gonna see.
You told me you're a musician. I mean, I'm a magician.
Yeah, in the outer pocket. No, in the outer pocket, the other side. No, the other side of the lifted. So in that, yeah. So that's. Yeah. There's no cards left there? Yeah? Great. Thank you, baby. Can you pass it to now is your time.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure this is not a trick.
Yeah, that's legit. That's legit stuff.
Okay.
So now, now you're going to dazzle me with your South Pasadena shuffle. The best South Pasadena shuffle you can give me.
Oh, God. You mean not a shuffle on the piano, but a shuffle with the cards.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay. You see? That's the sound of cards being shuffled.
Yeah, that's terrible. Can I do one more?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
One more. Okay.
All right. Cool. So, so from there, just pick 3 cards.
Pick 3 cards?
Yeah.
Okay. 2.
Cool.
3.
That's it. All right.
Get
Get rid of the deck. You can put it anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason why I do it with the cards is because, when you leave people like random numbers, they always go to the same, the date of birth and the date of this.
Yeah.
So there are 52 questions here. So we're gonna try to address 3 of them. So what's your first card?
10.
10 of what?
10 of diamonds.
10 of diamonds. And these are questions. These are questions that I wish. I always wonder when I have people that I admire, and I always ask myself, I wonder what they think about this. So this is my time to really learn. And let me do this. Okay, 10 of diamonds. Oh, well, these questions will go from the sublime to the ridiculous, but hey,
Okay.
bear with me here. 10 of diamonds.
Uh-huh.
A fan hands you his demo CD after a concert of yours.
Uh-huh.
Do you listen to it, or do you answer fans' email? Do you really listen to it, or answer to
Do I listen to it and answer the
yeah,
email?
or answer his, when people send you their stuff to
So do I listen to it or not?
Yeah.
Basically. God. Man, I'd say like 30 to 40% of the time I listen to it.
Good. I mean, by the way, in my book, the intention of wanting to listen to it is enough.
Yeah. Oh, I want to listen to all
Okay,
of them,
okay.
but I get bombarded.
Of course,
with a lot of
that's
them.
why I always wonder, because I've been in situations where a fan hands, they always come to you and they want you to, and then I've seen some guys go, okay, right, and then leave it there. And
Well, I don't do that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I take it, and I have a car that has a CD player. I think they're coming more and rare. So I'll listen to it. I'll admit that if in the first 30 seconds, it's like if I can kind of surmise where it's going.
The overture.
Yeah, if it's just really bad, then the first 30 seconds is out of there. If it's pretty good, but not going to be that exciting to me, then I'll
Start
tracks
skipping, yeah.
and see. Oh, maybe this.
But that's
track.
all good. That's all good.
And
That's
if
all
it's
good.
and on those, I have to say, rare occasions when it's like just floors me, then I listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is because I've been criticized always for being way too available. And that sometimes when you're too available, then it's also a drag, because it's this thing that starts it becomes all of a sudden
An obligation.
an obligation and an excess of confidence. All of a sudden, it's we're pals. It's like, well, not really, you know.
Right.
So that dance is always. But I've had a problem because not too long ago I was in that position. Not too long ago I was in Venezuela. And every time I saw someone oh my God, I was like, I wish he could hear what I'm doing and get some words of wisdom. So let's go to the second.
6 of hearts.
6 of hearts. Okay, this is also an interesting one to me. Mm-hmm. Are you a transcription enthusiast?
No, I've only transcribed a couple of solos, and I've never transcribed an entire solo. And I've only transcribed. I transcribe the parts that are interesting to me. I transcribed Herbie Hancock's first chorus on One Finger Snap off of Imperial. I transcribed. There's a tune called Einbahnstraße by Ron Carter, and Herbie takes a solo on it. Let me see.
that's.
But it's hip. I
Of
transcribed the
course.
Chick Corea thing off of I can't even do it anymore, but it's off of What Was. And those are the only things.
Yeah, yeah. To me, I mean, I know. I don't know if you have had this experience of finding musicians that can recreate a solo and can play it a million. I mean, they can play some stuff so well, but they cannot translate that level of musicianship to their own playing.
Well, you know what? What served me better is trying to transcribe something by ear, like not transcribing it accurately. Because then what you do is you get the idea of the line, and then you come up with your own.
With your own thing, yeah. That's what I did. You know, when I was young, you know, in my formative years, I didn't even have a stereo. So I had to, my friend Aaron Serfati, who you know, he would record cassettes.
Is he from Venezuela?
Yeah,
also?
we were best friends since we were 15 years old. And he would record cassettes, and then I would listen to those cassettes in my car. And then from the car to the piano, I would already forget. so I would have an idea of the sound, but not exactly. So basically, you come up with your own material, you know, unwillingly. Another question. Let's go for the
8 of clubs.
8 of clubs. All right. Okay, is there a kind of music you listen to in order to boost your self-esteem, or feel better about yourself?
Good music. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you one time I was feeling really low about myself. There are 2 times back in 1990 and again in 2020. So you know, I've had terrible years, like at 30 years apart. You know, 1990 was a bad year, and this has been a bad year for everybody. But in 1990, I listened to Third Wind by the Pat Metheny group. And I've told Lyle, who is a dear friend of mine, was he a friend of yours too? Did you know him?
I met him like 3 times. I mean, we exchanged, we talked, but we were not.
But I told him that, you know, I was feeling particularly bad about myself. My father had died, you know, and I put that song, and the song, it's a fast like samba thing, and then it goes into this thing in 3, like or in 12, and then it goes. It has this. I'm not sure. I know that's not the right chord. Anyway, it's such a joyful. Yeah. It just made me feel better. So that was one. And then this year I listened to Mathis der Mahler, like the whole symphony, and that made me feel better because it's such a monumental. It's by Paul Hindemith. It's a symphonic movement, a symphonic piece in 3 movements, and it's just an incredible piece of music.
Yeah. There's this misconception of music to make you feel better, having to be extremely watered down, and you know, because easy listening, you know, and not necessarily, you know.
Like Hans Groener or something.
Yeah, like this. Yeah, total consonant monk.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's this misconception of like it has to be easy listening for you to feel good. I mean,
No,
nothing farther
usually
from the truth.
if it's like that, it usually makes me feel bad.
Yeah.
It makes me feel bad about many things.
It can be. I mean, there are music that has the power to remind me of everything that I have ahead of me, that everything that I have to do, and do it in a way that is not destructive.
Yeah.
Because I also have some music that I listen to, and it makes me feel like I will never. I mean, at this stage, I mean, what are the chances that I'm gonna reach that? You know,
Yeah.
and it makes me feel really bad. Or players, or you know, improvisers. But there are others that do that in a way that inspire you and make you feel like, yeah, I'm gonna start working on this, you know. And for instance, Pat Metheny has always he's always in this overall area in which, you know, it will make you feel like it will come up with a melody like that. It's totally joyful, and then once you think that it's like, it's just a few chords. But that's a few chords in a section, in that section. But previously, he'd been dealing some heavy composition, you know?
Yeah. He's a major influence, his group, especially Lyle Mays.
Well, yeah.
It's a major influence on me.
Yeah. So I think, man, we should play our last, maybe we can play that blues that we were preparing. I want to again give thanks to Lou Forestieri for allowing us to use his studio, his wonderful piano, and again, wait a second. Yeah, here it is. And we can do that. Billy, man, thank you so much.
Oh, man,
thank you
thank
for
you.
your time. Thank you for your wisdom.
Oh man, thank you. Thank you for a great interview.
Yeah, well, I'm far from being the interviewer. I'm just a curious,
Man,
fan.
that's the main. That's the main. Well, curiosity is the main requirement.
And again, I mean, you know that I follow you, and I'm always looking forward to many, many more of these encounters with you.
Yeah, likewise.
And
We should do this more often.
I'll be on the look for that acceptance.
Yeah, I should have brought it.
No, don't, you know. And I'll go and grab it, and I'll be looking forward also to see you play it live, because that's one of the things that people should, whoever lives in LA or whoever sees Billy on the road, please check it out live, because it's one of those things that you go like, wow, the guy walks the walk and talks the talk. It's not studio magic. Let's put it like that. I mean, I've seen you doing this. I mean, with every single detail in the orchestration, every single nuance, perfection, and as I said, the casual balance of wisdom and inspiration are always there. So thank you so much, man.
Thanks a lot, man. It means a lot.
And thank you, everybody, for being here. Please continue supporting our little series here. I'll have very interesting guests coming up, and hopefully we can make this. Originally, it was going to be a limited series, but hopefully we can continue.
It's going to be unlimited.
Yeah, and it's going to be unlimited. It's going to go into syndication.
Yeah, boy.
So please continue supporting us, and stay safe out there. Thank you so much.